Day 6 of training camp is in the books, and a lot of interesting things happened today.
Inside, and a beauty! Hall running free! Brees Hall inside the 10! He's gonna score!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and baby Tigo is in the corner, so if you hear him yelling, I'm sorry about that. I hope it's not too unbearable, but I did want to get today's video out to you a little bit more quickly and more, just so that you guys can be able to digest it and really understand what happened at training camp today, because today was a big day. A lot of things came out today. We got a lot of information today, and we got to talk about those things. I think the biggest talking point, obviously, if you're on Twitter or if you see anything, is of course the fact that Mekhi Becton did not practice today full speed. He was out on the field, he was doing work, and he was doing those things, but he did not practice with the team at all. The only time he practiced with the team was at the end when the offense was doing their punishment for losing to the defense, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We got some confirmation from Robert Saleh at his press conference that his knee just didn't feel up to it today, and that makes sense. We've all been told that Mekhi Becton is on a snap count and that he's not going to be going full speed 100% of the time with all of the plays. And when you come off of back-to-back knee injuries and you haven't played football in 2 years and you go all out for 2 days in pads, there is an expectation that there might be some knee discomfort. Now, Robert Saleh did say that Mekhi Becton is day-to-day and that he's hoping that he'll be back out there on the field tomorrow. But the good thing is that this isn't a long-term injury or like he's going to miss a lot of time or anything like that. It's just essentially a rest day to make sure that they're not stressing out the knees sooner than they need to. We're in the middle of July, and the season doesn't start till September. There is no need to rush any of this, and that's a good way to look at things. And that's exactly how the New York Jets are handling the Mekhi Becton situation, so no need to panic yet. Another kind of injury that we saw today was Jonathan Franklin-Myers walking off of the field. Good news there is that Jonathan Franklin-Myers didn't pull himself. He was pulled by a trainer because he had some groin tightness, and it was just, again, hey, we're in the middle of July. We don't need to be stressing things out, especially with the defense absolutely dominating the offense. With missing out on potentially both of our starting tackles this year, with Duane Brown still not practicing and Mekhi Becton taking the day off, we saw Max Mitchell move over to the left side to take reps with somebody else. I don't remember his name. And then Carter Warren and Billy Turner taking reps on the right side. And the one thing that I really came away from this kind of practice is that the New York Jets really only have 3 offensive tackles that we can really trust to go out there and perform well, and that's Mekhi Becton, Duane Brown, and that's Max Mitchell, because Max Mitchell actually had a really good day at left tackle. Now, he got beat a ton, just like all of the tackles have been getting beat a ton, but in comparison to the other tackles and in comparison to the other left tackles that we've seen, Max Mitchell is living right up to par with what we're seeing from our offensive line. With time, the expectation is that our offensive line is going to establish themselves a little bit more and really get comfortable with one another. But as of right now, at the beginning of training camp, the defense is still dominating, and they are eating up running plays. They're getting to the backfield, and they're really creating havoc and a ton of pressure. The good thing that we're seeing from this is now we're starting to see what our offense is going to look like a little bit under adversity. And while we're still getting some certain kinks out of the way and certain situations and training things out of the way, we are seeing stark improvements day after day after day, especially with all of this pressure being created. The ball is coming out faster, more on time, and to the wide receivers more efficiently than before. While we're still seeing communications issues, we are starting to see bigger plays develop, and it's just smart quarterback play from all of the quarterbacks that we should care about. Aaron Rodgers taking advantage of a foul and taking a deep shot that probably had no chance of really being taken, which ended up with a Tony Adams interception. But still, it's a free play. It was a flag. Of course you're going to go for it. things like that. Zach Wilson really just doing his job and developing really, really well. Another day where we have to talk about Zach Wilson, because with the second team reps, we saw Jermaine Johnson blow up a play, get into his face, and it didn't matter. Zach Wilson stood up to the pressure, which he would normally bail out from and take a run for it. But no, he stood there, watched Jermaine Johnson get in his face, and made the pass to that side of the field, away from where Jermaine Johnson was going to get it, and got it to the wide receiver that he needed to. And so again, just effective play from all of our wide receivers, which is absolutely wide receivers and quarterbacks, which is absolutely phenomenal in the wake of the fact that the offensive line is struggling so heavily early on. Now, I think that this is going to change. The defense is going to continue winning. Remember that the defense is the best unit that we have on this football team, but I think that the offensive line is going to catch up. And I think the big kicker that we're going to have to really wait for is when Dwayne Brown comes back and he starts practicing. What happens to Mekhi Becton? Does he move to the right side? Does Max Mitchell truly just win the job at the right tackle spot? And does Dwayne Brown coming in really solidify the left side, and then the whole unit really like gels when we lose the competition and we've picked who our starters are? We don't know when it comes to the offensive line, but the offense is struggling, and they lost today on their 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, and they had to do the push-ups, which is good because it's just, hey, you win as a team, you lose as a team, and the offense lost, so everybody was doing push-ups. And Mekhi Becton, even though he didn't practice, was out there doing push-ups with his brothers, with his teammates, and that's a good sign because, again, it wasn't like, oh, it's this massive injury, I can't put any weight on my knee. No, he was still working. He was still doing all of the things that he needed to. But we have to talk about some standouts on the defensive side of the ball. The cornerbacks continue to dominate, and just absolutely dominate. And we're starting to see a lot of really good plays from all of the linebackers that are competing for that linebacker 3 spot. Quincy, Jamie Sherwood, Zaire Barnes, they're all creating plays when they're given the opportunity to. Zaire Barnes had a sack yesterday, had an interception today against Tim Boyle. Again, really creating comfort in the, linebacker room, which is a good thing. But this is a story of the defensive line. Al Woods and Quinnen Williams are unblockable in the run game. We have not been able to create any type of hole or any type of gap for these running backs at all this practice, because when those two are on the field, when it's time for a run, like stopping play, we can't create a gap. We can't create a hole. Those two are just that dominant, which is phenomenal. But Carl Lawson, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Bryce Huff, even Michael Clemens, Jonathan Franklin Myers before he went down with his injury, are all feasting off of the edge and off of the interior, and it's great signs. Our defense is going to be a lethal unit moving into this year, and we need to keep that lethality in the defense. We know that last year we would have won way more games if our offense was just average. And I think Aaron Rodgers gets us beyond average and gets us to a good offense. But if our defense stays dominant, the New York Jets have an opportunity to really take this thing really, really far. And that's exactly what they're doing, keeping the defense dominant. So let me know in the comment section below any storylines that you're interested in. What do you think about the whole Mekhi Becton missing today because of his knee being uncomfortable? Do you think that they're downplaying the situation? Do you think that there's more to the story than there is? Or is it just, hey, guy hasn't played football in 2 years and maybe he just needs a day off? Let me know in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.